Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Timmy, I guess. I don't know what you
Lump
want
me
to
in
be
somewhere.
honest.
Yeah.
What are you?
Lump me in anywhere.
What are you?
I don't disclose that information.
No, fair enough. Today is a glorious day. It's a beautiful day today. Not only did we get to see Oscar Piastri start a Grand Prix, we also got to see him finish a Grand Prix. So he's already 2 for 2 there.
Yep.
And he snagged the podium. Cheeky P2.
He did. And I'll tell you what, if you told me at the start of that race he was going to get a podium, I would have been chuffed.
Well, I told you at the start of the race he was going to get a podium. In fact, I said, I reckon he'll hold on to P3.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can go back and watch the stream if you want, but I'm pretty sure you said he won't finish on the podium.
Yeah, no, that's correct.
He'll finish off the podium.
Yeah. I thought
I'm really getting sick of
experience.
your, going against our...
I know. I've been rough on him this year.
You have been.
I mean, it's like, he fumbles the championship last year.
What are you, Orlando
He
fangirl
crashes
now?
out of the Australian Grand Prix before it starts. He's let me down a few times.
Well, he hasn't let me down.
But I did think his lack of race experience in the year of 2026 might hamper him against all these other guys who've actually done all the races to date.
He looked very
not only
comfortable.
not only was that not the case, he actually seemed to have a step up on a few of them.
Well,
sidelines, he's been studying on the sidelines.
yeah. Well, certainly a step up on Norris.
Yeah.
Who, as we know, your teammate is your closest enemy. And he just looks, I don't know, more convincing in that car right now.
He's had his number in qualifying. He may not have started a race until this one, but he's contributed in every quali session and he's beat him in every one. And this weekend, just 3/10 consistently. And
this guy's supposed to be the world champion, the best driver of last year, right?
He may just be the worst defending world champion since Jacques Villeneuve.
Well, let's not go too far down that because,
we got a month off. I'm going to be flying some crazy shit.
What I'm saying is I don't want to blow my load early.
Sorry.
Because
we've got an hour ahead of us.
We'll keep this Oscar Piastri specific.
It's just hard not to bash on Norris when I'm given the opportunity. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, especially when he's making it easy right now. So,
can we just give up?
What I was going to ask you, well, first of all, is, it was a pretty convincing race from Oscar, and he was comfortably keeping George behind him.
Very much so.
Do you think that he could have won that race?
100%.
100%?
100%.
Okay, all right. So not 90%, not 80%, just to clarify.
100%.
He could have had the win.
Yeah.
All right, explain.
Well, I think the Mercedes... By the way,
what are you, scrounging your back fridge or something?
Yeah.
What's going on? Different beers here?
I learned from you that we can just find what we have laying around.
Oh, no, I bought a 6-pack. And
these are a couple of years old. I might be checking the date on them. But
I was just being financially savvy.
And so am I. These are in the fridge. One may be a heavy, one may be a mid, one may be a bottle, one may be a can. Here we are. Okay. Beer in hand.
All right, well, I'll go the can. So tell me why he was going to 100% win.
The Mercedes, clearly, they're the car. We've seen this all year. You can race them, but as soon as you let them get free, that's it. I think... Oscar showed that he could... I mean, George passed him once, let's not forget, and then he immediately passed him back. If he could keep him behind him, which he had no issue doing, and in fact, he gapped him before the pit stops, he was right as rain. And I think we saw Kimi, he did nothing in that first stint. He was stuck down in fourth. He was looking like a chump. He was going to finish off the podium. And George is what ended up being in that position. So clearly, those Mercedes, if you can just keep them at bay, you can keep them at bay. But if you just let them through, they're gone. So the way the safety car played out and allowing Kimi that free kick, and we knew it was over at that point. And he had fresher tyres and he got the fresh air.
There's probably not many tracks, to be fair, that you could comfortably defend on, like Suzuka.
Yeah.
So moving
pretty much, yeah. Oscar could sort of gap George by about 2/10 in that first sector, where the driver has to do the work, where the chassis has to perform. Take away your battery deployment, take away your power unit. That's where the chassis does the work. And he was 2/10 quicker, And then he was able to just be smart and savvy with his battery to keep him at bay through the last sector.
Yeah, I agree. I think the win was on for him. And, we got to, lap 19 before he pit. And he basically, he made that excellent move at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
Swept across, to take first. And then... basically was maintaining that lead.
Yeah. Third's the new pole position.
Yeah, well, apparently. Well, at least if you're in a Ferrari or a McLaren.
Yeah.
But he had track position, and McLaren, I guess, essentially gave that away. So one of the things that we were talking about on the stream was they got to learn from Verstappen. If you're in front, keep that track position. Make the other teams make a decision.
Yeah.
And hold out as long as you can, as long as you can maintain that pace.
Mm-hmm.
And he was gapping George Russell.
And we saw...
So he had all the advantage. There was no...
the undercut was not on. They tested with Norris. The undercut was not on.
They clearly didn't learn anything from it.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating. We were watching it all the way from over here in Australia, going, do not pit him. This is a mistake. Like, it doesn't make sense to pit him. He's literally gapping Russell.
Yeah.
There is no sense in pitting him now. Not only do you allow this potential situation to happen where you can't cover off the safety car, but you're also extending your second stint and just giving something of a potential to every other car out there to have slightly fresher tyres. Like, you're giving away all the advantage you built up. Like, that move didn't make sense to begin with, and then the danger of a safety car is always there.
So who do you blame then? Because when they radioed Piastri the first time, at least the first time that we were privy to, he didn't seem overly convinced or convincing in the strategy. And then they obviously pit him. So is that on Piastri to be more assertive of, nope, I can hold George behind me. I have track position. Let's stay out whilst the tyres are still fine. And we know that these tyres aren't just going to fall off a cliff.
No, God, no.
They would have had probably half a dozen good laps still in them, which basically takes you almost to the midway point of the Grand Prix anyway. Or is it the team's fault for maybe playing it too safe? And
it's the team's fault through and through. I mean, Oscar's response is very reminiscent of what we heard of him last year, where he, do whatever you think's right. Like, he kind of puts his 2 cents in, but at the same time, he's not authoritative with it.
You have all the information,
but
so
exactly,
you tell me.
At the same time, he shouldn't be put into a position to don't make the driver the race engineer. You give him, you say to him, we think the undercut may do this. Do you want to risk that? Like, give him actual info. If you're going to let him make the decision for some reason, give him some actual info. Don't just... Because like you said, he doesn't have the info. He knows George's 1.7... He can see he's behind him in a mirror, but he doesn't know what the lap time fall-off is. Like, there's a lot of considerations that he just doesn't know.
Yeah.
So, he could be more authoritative, but then if he goes, yep, pit me, or yep, or no, don't pit me, just with his feel, without actually knowing what's going on in the race, and then he makes the wrong call, and then, he's got to rely on his team. They shouldn't be giving him such a vague option. Like, they gave him the option, but didn't explain the situation from what we saw.
Yeah.
But then it just seems like such a no-brainer. Like you said, Verstappen last year or every year, Norris. Whenever you're the race leader and you've got the pace, you're under no pressure whatsoever to pit. They were literally just battling ghosts out there. They protected an undercut from a freaking ghost. Like, there was no threat. And did they not learn from Imola last year where they pitted him early and then just got stuck in traffic? Like, they're lucky that he didn't get stuck in any real traffic. Turns out it didn't matter in the end. But the fact is, he got pitted, he came out behind, Max, and he would have had to pass Max, and he would have had to pass these cars that were running slightly longer. That's the risk you take, let alone the safety car risk.
It is a super strange decision, especially from a team like McLaren, who have a lot of prestige, racing prestige. Like, they know how to win races. They know how to win championships. They have a long history in the sport. So to see them basically fumble an opportunity like this is strange. And I
especially
think
this year.
Yeah, where these opportunities aren't going to come around often. I also think it's a little bit weird how, Oscar post-race, he's quite positive, and so he should be. I mean,
he hasn't raced a race this year.
No. I said that he, P3 I'd be stoked for. That would make my whole month.
Yeah.
And he managed a P2. But being that we saw, he put the move on and he defended brilliantly.
Yeah.
And basically did everything to earn P1 and a potential victory, just for that to be, erased for something so stupid.
Yeah.
Kind of hurts still. And I don't overly love that, I don't want to rain on the parade or anything, but I don't overly love at the end of the race, through the interviews and stuff, he basically has this narrative of, we maximized every opportunity we had.
Yeah.
And we did the most that we could this weekend. Because I can't help but look at it and go, did you? But did you? There was a race win literally on, and you could have just rolled the dice and gambled. You have nothing to lose, really.
They did gamble.
No, I argue that they played it safe.
No, but they didn't. That's what I'm saying. They were fighting ghosts. They gambled that we don't want to risk getting undercut. That was the gamble. The smart thing, it's not even like Russell's right on their tail and they know if he pits first, we're done. Which, again, they pitted Norris first and the tyres took 3 laps to turn on. So the undercut was not even an option.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So they had this information that there was no reason to pit. But yet they still did. It was like they had a race strategy and they're like, we're sticking to it. We don't care what's going on.
It makes me think, Qatar last year, did we give them too much credit?
Probably.
Like, are they actually this fucking stupid?
Well, I mean, I've been saying that for a year.
Completely threw away an Oscar race win on strategy there. And then here they are doing it again. It's like, are they actually this dumb? Are they dumb?
Well, maybe
I thought they were just. I thought we were all, conspiracies, and they're fighting. Maybe they're just stupid.
Look, it could just come down to incompetence, or maybe they just hate Piastri.
Yeah, literally, like they're like, oh man, this is not a good look for Lando.
Yeah,
the dude had nothing in Australia. Obviously, he didn't even get to race in China, Crimea River, and then he comes here, gets outpaced by 3/10, and has nothing to give in the race.
It is astounding when you learn that. They have all these strategists and they've got, HQ back in, wherever it's
England.
based, England. And they have all these people that are monitoring to make a decision and yet they still make the wrong one. And it's like, we were on there literally watching the race going, you just wouldn't pit.
Yeah.
There's no way
he's
you pit. Leave him out there.
George, like that alone.
You have the advantage. Let them make the mistake. Or if there is a safety car, don't basically take yourself out of a situation where you can also benefit from that.
I mean, it's like I said, you need to be reactive as the leader with a 2-second gap, which is just a cherry on the top of the cake. Even if you're the leader and it's a close battle, you still need to be reactive. You don't need to dictate the race. You don't need to be the one who sets the strategy in motion. The strategy should be set in motion by cars behind you, and then you monitor the gap and you pit to give yourself the best window of time at the end of the race and to maintain that track position. And this is the stuff we saw Max and every other goddamn race winner in the past do. Just stay out as late as you can. Pit stops 23 seconds. The car behind pitted. They're 25, 24. All right, now we pit.
Yeah.
You maximize your tyres in the last stint. You get to maintain the lead. You don't need to win by 10 seconds.
No.
You need to just win by a car length.
Yeah. So, sometimes I just wish that Oscar would just say it like it is. But he's always been very, I don't know.
That is the most frustrating thing. All the shit last year, and I don't want to get into it, but all the shit last year, and he just doesn't give you what you want. No. He pats the team on the back, and it's like, no. I 100% agree. He as a driver, absolutely maximized this weekend. There's nothing he could have done better.
I think he blew our expectations completely out of the water, especially for you. You were reading him off for a podium.
Yeah.
And he 100%. Was basically fighting for a win there. So I did find it interesting that he said he didn't think that they had the pace to fight with Kimi, which is a fact. They don't have the pace.
In hindsight, when the Mercedes got the track position, no, they didn't.
No, but he didn't mention anything about George. He very comfortably kept George behind him.
Because, and again, when did he say that? At what point?
Post-race.
Yeah, like how far post-race?
Oh, like half an hour.
So had he seen anything? Did he know Kimi was also stuck behind Norris and couldn't make any inroads, had the same issues George had? That's what I'm saying.
Can't say.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have all the context of this. Like, he can say that, in the race, I guess it didn't matter with safety car or not because the pace Kimi had. But did he know when he said those comments that Kimi was stuck in fifth and had no, he had the exact same issues George had where as soon as you get behind, especially another Mercedes-powered car, that's the other thing we haven't considered is we haven't seen this year yet. They may be able to fight the Ferraris. This is the first time they've had to battle another Mercedes-powered car.
Yeah.
And look at the result. And again, clean air was king for them.
The gap was closer for sure.
Yeah. So again, just those comments, him not having all the info, it just frustrates me, especially everything with George. I saw George was the biggest, saddest boy, and he's a sad boy at the best of times. Mm-hmm. And he had the biggest pouty, cry being a river bitch face I've ever seen. And it's like, man, you had no right winning that race. What do you mean it cost you a fucking win? You had no right. You were not going, no safety car. You were not going to win that race.
Don't forget, he was unlucky with the safety car though as well. Like he had a better start than
cost
Kimi.
Him a win.
Yeah, he had a better start than Kimi, and he was second place fighting Piastri.
Sure.
Whether he would have got him or not, who knows? We won't know now. But that safety car basically did take him out of contention completely.
But the fact is, but we don't. What I'm saying is we haven't heard a thing from Oscar. Let's consider Oscar. Doesn't start Australia, doesn't start China, starts Japan, absolutely gets rooted of a win, gets literally plucked out of first place due to a safety car. George wins the first race, is an absolute bitch in China, and then comes here and is not quick enough in the race to make an overtake on Oscar, and then has the audacity to cry and whinge to the media and look like an absolute...
Yeah, but do you honestly
No, I
expect
don't expect anything different. But wake up to yourself. Like, you weren't plucked out of first like Oscar was. Oscar's like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, that was a great weekend. And then George just... Like, man, you've won one race this year. Let's not forget, you're now, you don't need to be the hot shit you think you are.
No, and it's that reality is starting to set into him. But
I mean, Kimi is on one.
What I was trying to do was segue to Kimi and basically say that Oscar clearly had eyes for Kimi and knew how fast this kid was. I mean, he had dominated the weekend. He'd gotten another pole and was looking like he was probably going to cruise off to victory. So, the record books will show basically a dominant weekend. And, as I said, got the pole, got the win. It won't show that it was only due to a safety car, that he was basically given that win.
Yeah.
However, back-to-back now, he's taken the lead in the championship. Let's not forget it's also a reduced calendar year, so there's two less opportunities. Yep. So all of a sudden, he's in the driver's seat.
100%.
I don't care what the narrative is of George is supposed to win this, or I know Toto has said, like, we got to protect him from people talking about the championship. This is what we're here for. We're here for a championship. Yeah. He's in the lead.
This is the Formula World Championship.
Yeah. So, but he looks very comfortable. Like
and it's like the confidence boost you get. I mean, he's learning lessons along the way. We saw China makes the big brake lock-up, goes wide at the hairpin. Maybe you're lucky to keep a lead, lucky to have a big gap, but that's something to learn. He learned from that, and he got away with it, got to keep the win, and the team learned from it. Like 3 laps ago in Japan, they're like, all right, buddy, you got a 14-second lead. He's up now. Like, so he's learning along the way and getting some of these little things out of the way. But going into this now, apparently we have a
4 weeks between
races. Winter break. We have a pre-winter break. And look at the difference. Kimi's going into it head high. How good is this? 2 wins in a row, championship lead. George has come into it with, he had some issue in qualifying in China, and he had, I reckon it's a driver thing, but he complains about the car in the qualifying here in Japan.
Do. Drivers complain about the car.
Exactly. And he's complaining about the battery a couple of times in the race, which sounds to me that it could be his issue. He complains about deployment. It's like, aren't you in control of deployment and the super clipping? Like, is the reality not that you're misjudging this? Like, why is it only you, and it's consistently only George that seems to be having issues with the battery and harvesting and deployment? It's like, maybe it's like you a little bit
more driver than car.
Yeah, like that's always an option. Like, how's it happened to you twice this race, and literally no one else is having this issue? Like, we're not hearing anyone else having this issue where the battery just doesn't deploy or doesn't harvest. You know what I mean? I just feel like he's already. I've heard 5-6 excuses from this fella already. Yeah, in the 3 races we've had.
When the reality is, you've got this young hotshot who's come in and he's just putting the screws to you. You're going to start questioning everything, and you're going to start seeing ghosts. Yeah, and I think at the beginning, coming out of Australia, he probably was thinking to himself, maybe to his partner, maybe to his parents, this is my year. I'm on for a one. And he still can. He's not out of it by any means. Sure. But Kimi has come out with his last 2 race wins, and he has just looked untouchable, essentially. Except for his race starts. That's his biggest or potentially only weakness right now. There is an element with what's going on right now that I do look at Kimi, and I think, you've by far got the best car. By far. So you should be contending for wins. Yeah. It kind of takes a little bit of what he's achieving at such a young age, because it's not common that someone so young gets
the best car.
Gets the best car, yeah. So he's smashing all these records, but this doesn't usually happen. So there is an element there where it's like, well, of course it's happening. But he does still have to do it. And as you mentioned, he's had some low points, but it's how he bounces back from those low points.
And that was why they put him in the car. They knew he was going to tear shit up last year.
Doesn't
they
get
knew
rattled.
He wasn't going to...
He doesn't have a drop in confidence.
Yeah.
He just puts his head down and gets on with it.
Yeah.
And essentially, as it stands right now, he's only got one driver to beat. And it's George Russell, and he's handling him fine. So I think that, if he keeps just doing what he's doing, putting that thing on pole, making George have to fight harder, take more risk.
Yeah.
He can probably get a sizable gap and look like an actual potentially.
We'll see what happens. I mean, again, we haven't even seen them have to race yet.
No, yeah.
And this is what we're saying about McLaren last year for the first 6 months is this is all good and fun, but we haven't actually seen them engage. So that's the next thing.
Yeah.
How do Mercedes deal with these two actually having to race each other on track at some point?
So moving on, I want to talk about Ollie Bearman's crash. So that was pretty much the first big crash we've seen of the season.
Yeah. I mean, Antonelli's is pretty big in Australia, but this one was probably a bit bigger.
I mean, 50 Gs. You're going to feel that.
And his knee, he got a knee knocker.
yeah, bruised knees, I said. Yep. So you got out of the car limping. So first time we've seen probably a driver get out in somewhat of an injured state.
It's been a while.
For a long time, yeah. As we mentioned on the stream, it was probably Danny Rick with the wrist injury.
Yeah. Which again, I blame Danny for that.
Yep.
You let go of the steering wheel if you're crashing into anything.
Yep. Amateur move.
Yeah. But don't talk down on Danny. Don't you dare.
Yeah. It's funny looking at the onboard. No, you can't. The amount of shit talking you've been doing in Piastri lately, you have no right here to tell me what I can and cannot say about Danny Rick, right? Yeah, so when you watch the onboard of the Bearman crash, it is a bit bizarre, isn't it? It almost looks like Franco's doing something a little nefarious, but it's just the way the car is.
I think he is slightly.
He's probably still under speed.
I think, I think it's a case. I think he definitely went a bit more mid-track than he should have, but he may have also misjudged the closing speed.
Yeah, it looked awkward in terms of the difference in speed, which we know was about 97 kilometres. So that is huge.
That's ripping.
And then also...
That's our highway speed limits here.
Well, yeah.
And that's just the difference in their race space.
And the awkward track positioning of where they met. Right on that bend as it kinks to the right.
Because it's also kind of like... It's a right-hand bend, and then it kind of flattens out, and then a tighter right-hand bend. So you're naturally kind of mid-ish track. I do think Franco jinked a little to the left, probably just to make Franco second guess, or to just really think if you want to do this or not. But you're naturally kind of floating towards the mid-track there anyway. So it's really a concoction of everything going wrong. And then, like I even said on the stream, at that lap, sort of lap 18, 19, you already had marbles building up on the outside. So as soon as Ollie, I think he probably overreacted a little bit to the movement, but then that contributing with now you're offline and you're going 300 kilometers an hour, and then he just kept going,
Yeah.
Like he was probably thinking, and again, the speed difference, he was probably thinking he can tuck in a little longer behind Franco and then just sort of sweep around him nicely. But then all of a sudden he was there, and then all of a sudden Franco's moving a little bit to the left, and again, left him plenty of track technically, but at that speed and then ending up wide and then on the marbles. And
the whole thing was just very awkward, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
If it was not a sweeping bend, it's no dramas,
Yeah. He's lucky that he got away with what he got away with, essentially. It could have been so much worse. That was a high-speed crash.
It was a big whack.
And going out onto the grass there, nothing's slowing you down.
No,
so
not at all. There'll be gravel next year, or there'll be tarmac next year.
Probably,
stupid.
Probably, yeah. So all the drivers now have piped up about this, saying that this is what they have been saying is an example of how dangerous it can get.
I know everyone complained about the car, but Lando was the one I definitely noticed pre-season talking about the speed disparity. You're going to see airplane crashes. And this was our first... I don't even think we've had a close call like this. Like it didn't technically hit, but it was the creation of the crash.
It was probably more of an evasive maneuver, right? Rather than just running straight in the back of him and then taking off.
That's what Alonso said. He said, we're not overtaking, we're avoiding. Like we're not overtaking, we're having to avoid accidents. That's what we're doing. These overtakes are avoiding crashing, not so much overtaking. So, yeah, it was a doozy. And I think they have to do something now because it's true. You can't, 100 kilometers an hour speed difference. You can't have two cars on the same piece of track. And then they even said, like, what about when you get to like a Baku where the walls are right there and you've got blind corners and you've got, that back straight to Baku where they are fast corners, the last straight, it's fast, flat out corners, but it's a straight. So you probably got the straight line mode, the speed differential, but then they're kind of blind. If you're doing 100 k's an hour, all of a sudden you're there, and someone's going 100 k's slower.
Yeah,
you're gonna. There's some tracks out there you don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think if they can't figure out this problem, and I can't see how they're going to. I just can't see how they're going to.
Well, it's all data
over the
and
course
software.
of this season, because like the engines aren't built to just be like, all right, cool, let's run 70-30. You can't just do that.
Well, they probably can, but then they're not going to hit 200 k's an hour because they've still got Camry engines in them.
Yeah,
like if you take away some of the battery, then yeah.
Which is something that will come up later. But teams have been developing this engine for a few years, and they've got data for how it is now.
Yeah.
So if you go mid-season or from Miami or wherever and make massive changes, like that has the potential to create even more chaos within the sport.
Yeah.
And it's already in a bit of a state right now. So, they're in a tough spot.
I wonder if they knew this is what it was going to be.
Surely not.
Like, did they know we're going to see speed differences of this caliber? And did they know they were going to kick in at such an early point of the straights? Like,
all I keep hearing is Verstappen kept warning about this ever since 2023. So he clearly was already skeptical on the state of these regulations.
Yeah.
And whether he foresaw these specific problems, I don't know. And then I guess it's a case of whether the FIA didn't take any of that in consideration, what drivers were potentially warning of and saying, well, if you do that, this could be an issue here.
Yeah.
And they just went ahead with it anyway.
I don't think they would have taken too much consideration. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. With what Formula One sees making their money and how they keep the manufacturers in it. That's their main thing. Drivers come and go.
Yeah, but if you lose the fan base, then you're going to lose sponsorship.
100%.
You're going to lose.
But the fan base, it's not even fathomable that they lose the fan base.
I don't know. I think we won't see the true dip until next year, because I think a lot of like ticket purchasing and merch purchasing and whatnot was primarily done last year, because you buy your tickets so far in advance and off the hype of last year.
Yeah.
I think now, if people are checking out, cancelling their subscriptions, they're less likely to buy tickets to Grand Prix next year. They're less likely to renew subscriptions, regardless of the outcome of the championship. You and me are here because we've watched the sport for a long time, but probably more than anything, we love watching Aussies compete. We enjoyed the Mark Webber era, even though there wasn't a whole ton of success there. We made it through the Ricciardo era. Now we're riding along with Piastri.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that, I don't think I would be watching Formula One right now. I'd just be keeping up with headlines.
Well, that's the thing. I've never even had to consider that, because there's always been an Aussie in it. So I've never gone, I've watched it. No, you're probably right. If there was no one to really barrack for, and I can't barrack for the teams because they just don't have any personality.
No, that's correct.
And the ones that did, like I said at the start of last year, I was like, McLaren's my team because of their history. It's cool. But then they go and pull the season off like they did last year and all the stink. And it's just like, okay, well, they're not my team anymore.
You kind of realize that, yeah.
And then you can't go for Ferrari.
Really work.
It's just, no one has the mental health for that.
Only bandwagoners go for Ferrari.
Like there's something wrong with every team, and they just don't have much character and chemistry. You want to follow drivers, and if you don't have, I don't know how, we said about this in China. There's no Chinese drivers. There's no Japanese drivers. I know, the test drivers are there and whatever, but these grandstands are still packing and selling out, even though they don't have anyone on the grid to support.
We don't see numbers though. Have you noticed?
No, I did see that. They just said sold out.
Yeah,
which I don't know what that means.
So that number one, we just have to take their word for it.
Yeah.
And number two, we don't know.
What's
what
sold
does
out.
sold out look
like? But also,
like?
I don't know. I haven't been to Formula One Grand Prix in many years, as we've said before. But how do they dictate sellout? Is that just sell out the grandstands? Because if they have general attendance entry, surely you just keep selling tickets and people just keep filling off the grass.
Well, that's right.
So,
and if you're not filling out grandstands, just bump down the prices until you do.
Yeah.
Or upgrade. So, all right, last talking point before we get into the achievements. Max Verstappen. So, two things here. Finishes P8 behind Gasly, ex-Red Bull teammate. Struggled to really get past him at all. So
I think he even mentioned that Alpine was fast. I think through the race, he mentioned that.
There's onboard footage of him waving to Gasly as Gasly passes him on the front straight, waving goodbye. So, making sure that everyone knows his feelings. But I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah. He's not hiding anything.
No. But now his language and his wording is changing to more of a threat of retiring. Not now speculation, not now, we'll see about the future. Now it's like, this could be my last year. I'm not enjoying this. I don't know if this is worth it. He's getting a lot of negative, like he's kind of the poster boy for hating on a driver who's not enjoying this. Yeah. Even though we've got more drivers than ever speaking against it, he seems to be still the whipping boy for it. And I'm sure that's not fun either. No. And you've got guys like Lando who at the start said, leave then. If you don't like it, leave. Now he's switched sides. He's batting for the other side. Yeah. And he's not copying anywhere near as much flack as Verstappen. No. And maybe it's because Verstappen has had a lot of success in the past. So people are saying, oh, just because you can't win now, you want to leave the sport. It doesn't feel like that to me. And we're not even the biggest Max Verstappen fans. We spent most of our years hating Max Verstappen, not being able to stand him. Yeah. He's kind of come into this new era that I think we've grown to like and respect him and what he's achieved and his racing craft. But I think, again, I said it last week, if he leaves Formula One, I think that's a big loss for F1. And he's now probably using that as ammunition to force change quicker. Yeah. I think. Because I don't know if he really does leave the sport, but I don't know how long he's happy to stick it out in the midfield there.
I mean, why doesn't he leave the sport? I mean, the truth is, he's shown his love racing in anything, Yeah, Alonso's still in the sport. He never really did anything else. He wanted to win the Triple Crown. That was his thing. Mm-hmm. He went to IndyCar to just do Indianapolis. He went to GT racing to try and win Le Mans, but he didn't ever do those full time. Like he had his agenda, but he still wanted to be in Formula One. You don't see these other drivers going to go just do these lower tier categories out of the enjoyment of racing. Kimi Räikkönen, like he never seemed to be fully in love with F1. He just loved racing. He left Formula One to go do some rally. Yeah. Like those are the drivers that you fear could retire at any moment. I know Kimi went on to do Alpha for whatever reason for a couple of years, but Max definitely seems like the driver who's like, he's got plenty of money. Like it's not a money thing. No. He's got a family now, which would be, he seems like the type of bloke who'd be like, whatever, let's just go spend time with them. Mm-hmm. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if he gave it up. He's like, I've got 4 world championships. This is a new set of regs that not only is the car not very good, but there's no reason we're going to be good anytime soon. It could take him 4 or 5 years to get the car back into the right window. Like, does he want to do it? And does he see himself being competitive in 4 or 5 years to compete with these up and comers? So it's like,
especially with so much change within that Red Bull organization, where it's not the same Red Bull as it was 3 years, 4 years ago.
I mean, what's driving him to stay in Formula One? And he doesn't seem to be record chasing either. No. So it's not like, I just want to win a few more championships to get those. No, he doesn't seem to want to do that either.
No, you can clearly tell that's what's driving Hamilton. And that's what's made a big switch from Mercedes to Ferrari, and that that potentially might have cost him a shot at the 8th title there. Yeah. But Verstappen doesn't seem like he cares about his legacy in F1. He's kind of achieved what there is to achieve, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He just wants to enjoy racing. He wants to compete, and I guess if he's not doing that,
this is not a pure form of motorsport.
No, no. This is almost as far from Formula One as Formula One has ever been.
And I tell you, scrolling TikTok, scrolling Facebook, whatever, and seeing reels of, my phone's just full of motorsport. It doesn't matter if it's IndyCar, NASCAR, rally, fucking downhill push bike racing. You read the comments and this is real racing, no battery management here. Every other fan base relates their motorsport or their form of racing to Formula One, and they just love to just piss and shit on Formula One, including the fans of Formula One. No one's happy about it, and it's a laughing stock. And every other sport can look at it and understand what's happened. What's happened here? You've gone from, and Formula One acknowledged that with the changing of the megajoules in quali to try and bring the driver back into quali, but. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Coke versus Pepsi thing. Like Formula One has been Coke for a long time, and you just can't take him down. But then they've made this new recipe, and it's dog shit. So now you got Pepsi going, hey, we're still the same.
Which is every other form of
We're still the pure form of cola. Like, come over and enjoy us. Like, you don't know how good we are.
Yeah,
you know that was good, but we're now better. You know, that's what it sort of feels a little bit like.
I mean, typically, if you were to look at the top 10 like international racing car drivers, but on any given day, 5 of the top 10 will be Formula One drivers.
Yeah,
just because you can't overlook a Formula One driver.
Well, being the pinnacle, naturally,
exactly. Everyone naturally looks at Formula One as that's the pinnacle.
Yeah, so that's going to have the best talent, right?
Yeah, you might have a NASCAR driver in there. I think Gizzy, when he was here, he was in there for a little bit. Like, you might have the odd driver.
Yeah, you probably got rally car drivers. Like, there's been some
you
big
get the odd
names
driver from other categories, but a good chunk. And you look at the 5th best Formula One driver, he's kind of a shit Formula One driver. But he's in the top 10 list of the best in the world because F1's the pinnacle and it gets that respect. I mean, what's that list based off? You can't really base off anything besides the eyeball test. It's just you just give the Formula One drivers that respect because of the machinery that they are having to handle and drive, and the speeds they're going, and the downforce and the G forces they have to. Formula One drivers are the only drivers that actually look like built athletes.
Yeah, NASCAR drivers look like they just live off pies and beers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, they're the only, and it's because of what they have to do to stand in the car. Like, so they just get that respect. But now, you know, it's not like that anymore. It's not with this season the way it's playing out. They're no longer at the ragged edge of the car.
No. Okay, so let's that pretty much, I think, wraps up all the biggest talking points for Suzuka. So we'll move into some of the achievements and we can dissect a little bit further there. But the first achievement, as always, is the final boss achievement. So
I've put no thought into any of these, by the way. I've had such a busy day.
Well, you're lucky I did.
Exactly. Looking forward to hearing the categories.
Okay, so the first nominee is Kimi Antonelli for his pole and win. So he's backed it up. Youngest youngest driver to lead the championship, and also a teenager, just. So
for 4 years to spare as well to break that record.
That's insane. I don't think that's getting beat. So, your second nominee is Oscar Piastri, getting a podium on his first Grand Prix start.
Mm-hmm.
So he has 100% strike rate at the moment for podiums. Yep,
it's good.
And C, Verstappen kicking out the journalist who questioned him on his Barcelona antics from last year. That's kind of a final boss move. I don't think many drivers could get away with that. But
it's also a bit of a
Max
whingy Max move, bit of the Brat Max comeback.
It is, definitely.
The same Brat Max that hit George in the first place.
But imagine spotting that dude, was it 4 or 5 months later?
Yeah.
And then, having a flashback.
And then basically saying,
I'm not talking until he leaves.
That's a pretty boss move. That is probably the definition of a bit of a boss move. But I do have to give it to Oscar. I mean, no one can lay a finger on Mercedes in qualifying. He's the first non-Mercedes or Ferrari driver to get a podium. And like you said, his first actual weekend of racing. And he looked like he had the measure of not only Norris, but of Charles, who has shown really good racecraft in this car. Started next to him and had no dramas with anyone. Actual racing, he didn't let... I don't believe he let anyone through. He let George through, passed him back. That was the only time he ever let anyone through.
Seemed strategic, didn't it?
Yeah. No one else got past him. No one else got to look at him. Like, we weren't seeing the overtakes.
So I agree with giving him final boss because I think Antonelli benefited from luck of the safety car.
And he may have qualified first, but he was fucking 7th by turn 1. So I couldn't care less where he qualified.
And he struggling to get through.
Yeah, couldn't get through.
I forgot to ask you before, but if McLaren can close the gap, say in Miami, so I from what I've heard, Miami is the first big upgrades for McLaren.
Yeah.
So 4 weeks between races, get that thing dialed in. Can he still be a genuine championship contender?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. God, yeah. We've got 19 races to go, plus a couple of sprints in there. I think so. All it takes, and this year, is going to be the biggest...
Don't get my hopes up.
No,
right?
I'm just saying. This year is going to be the biggest year for unknown mechanical failures.
Sure.
Look how strange the Zandvoort failure was for Lando last year. Everyone was perplexed by that. At that point of the year, with the development on the cars over the years, at that point, even the maturity of those regs, it's like you just don't see mechanical failures. This year, the brand new year of the regs we saw last race was a shit show in China, the amount of failures. Like, there's still a big... And we've seen Mercedes are also prone to having minor issues so far, but all it takes is one of them to have an issue, and then you undo the damage of the double DNSs to start.
Yeah.
Plus, with him putting some good runs on the board, and we've seen this race that, like, hopefully it's not just Suzuka specific, because again, we haven't seen the McLarens racing yet this year. Besides round one, which is really 3 hands in the air, who knows what's going on. Seeing the McLarens in there and seeing them, like, it sounds crazy to state, but only 3/10 off the pace to the Mercedes. Hopefully their upgrade brings them closer. And then if they can race him and if they can keep just kind of taking points off and just slowly catching, then one mechanical issue for the Mercedes, and hopefully Oscar's got his bad luck behind him now. And it's can definitely be on.
God, it's funny sitting here yesterday, just going into the race. I didn't think that he would be on for a win, and then post race, my first thought was he looks confident. He still looks hungry. He still looks like very comfortable.
Well, now that the
situation,
intra-team bullshit's out of the way.
Yeah, and considering how bad the season started for him, I was like, he still looks like he's going to fight his hardest and take the fight at least to the Mercs. So,
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, we in Australia watching like everything, and you could see he just didn't have the pace. He just was so far off, and it was gutting to see him not start. But at the same time, I was like, well, I don't think we would have seen him finish better than 6th, 7th. Like, I want to see him race naturally, but at the same time, I don't think we were missing out on any silverware there. This race was completely different. You could see he had the eyes on, qualifies 3rd, like literally best of the rest. And by now, we literally know what's wrong with those Mercedes. We know where their weakness is. And we picked it. Well, we picked that Mercedes weren't going to get a good start. Everyone knows that now. So straight away, that's clearly a big weakness on a track that you may struggle to pass on. That is a problem, which is why they are pushing so hard to get changes made. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. So the weakness. If Oscar can qualify P3, if he can be the 3rd best car, and then be smart with his energy deployment, combine that with McLaren maybe finding a 10th and a half with upgrades, we may have a bit more luck this year than we think.
You get me excited here.
And we saw how good he was in Miami last year as well.
Yeah. Oh, no, I haven't forgotten. So, okay, the next achievement is the noob achievement. So your first nominee is Kimi for his start, losing his pole advantage basically immediately. So quite a noob move on his part. McLaren for pitting Piastri, giving up track position and possibly costing him a win, as we've discussed. Sounds like probably did cost him a win. So
100%.
And the third nominee, Jenson Button for his Lando glazing.
Yeah, that's the winner. I think.
But no second thought at all.
No. So, like I just said, the Mercedes, that's their Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And he had a worse effort and he lost out to George, which is the real problem. But that's something they've got to figure out because that's a real problem for them. McLaren, absolute shit show, but that's nothing new. But the Jenson Button thing, man, it devastates me. I really, really like Jenson Button.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
I don't want him in the commentary booth. I like him. I've never once had an issue with him. I've never once spoken badly about the guy. But oh my God, man. It didn't matter what was going on in that
by
race.
The end, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. The short replay, Lando wouldn't even be the main point in this replay. It'd be something else, but Lando's in the shot and he'd be calling out, "Oh, well, did you see what Lando did?" No one's looking, buddy. No one's looking. All it was, all race. Oh, it was getting the best of me. I mean, he's worse than Brundle with it.
If it wasn't Lando glazing, it was over enthusiasm for the on-track action, as he's clearly, he's been paid to,
he's also
push the F1 narrative.
He's clearly,
which makes it, he's not going to be in the commentary box shitting all over the cars.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly in a bit of a job interview. As well, I would say.
I think so. Yeah.
With Brundle's, Brundle's done as many races as Oscar this year.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think there might be some changes coming up in the next, maybe a phase out happening.
Yep.
But yeah, I hate it because I really like Jenson Button.
We got to remember to watch the F1 TV commentary next round. If he's in the booth, yeah, it's still there.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
If he's in the booth, we'll have to switch it over. So just for our own mental health.
Yeah. If Brundle's not back, someone needs to put out get the police over there to check him out.
Yeah, make sure he's okay. Yeah. Okay, it's buffed achievement. So the first one is Gasly getting a P7 in Alpine. So they're continuing their strong form that they've sort of come across.
Well, that one car, yeah.
Well, that one car, yes, to be fair. Ahead of his ex-Red Bull teammate Verstappen. So that must have felt good for him, I'm sure.
And held him off too. There's some real wheel-to-wheel action happening.
B, Suzuka for providing a more entertaining race compared to last year's. So I don't know if you remember last year's, because I barely
Sadly, somehow I actually do. I remember it for its lack of remembrance.
Yeah, it was a snooze fest.
Yep.
So, whatever's going on with these new regs aside, I guess at least Suzuka being, a heritage track, a vintage F1 track, it was nice to see that it was an entertaining race, at least to watch start to finish. So even if it was artificial or not. And C, all 22 cars starting the Grand Prix for the first time this season.
Yeah, that was cool. I think I've got to give it to Suzuka.
Oh, interesting.
To be honest,
I didn't think that you'd.
Last year's race was a shocker, and it was probably I want to say the worst race of the year last year. And I actually think I saw, maybe I'll make this my stat at the end of the thing. There was one change in the top 10 last year, as in the top 10 finished in the same order except for one swap.
Yeah,
I mean, gee golly, that's not. And it felt like that. Like I remember that race was shocking. This year, I don't know how the final order shook out, but regardless, we had a lot of overtaking. And I said in the stream when we were watching it, artificial and all this. This was almost, they almost seemed to have nailed it. I mean, we saw Charles balls to the wall overtake into turn one around the outside.
Yep.
That was a driver move. That wasn't battery overtake, wave as he goes by. That was, he had to put that move on. And we saw Lewis see that. We saw Lewis see that and upped him one and did the same thing to Norris.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is perfect. If they could mathematize their way into making sure you just get enough to put you in contention to make a pass without having a free pass, that is great. Because we had to see those drivers do stuff to make the move. And it was awesome. Yeah. That was good. That was good racing. Yes, the battery got you there, but that's fine. It's the overtaking that had to have it on track that was good to see. Yeah. So, I'm fine with all that. I don't think I really saw many. We did see a couple of drive-bys easily down the front straight, but there was definitely a lot more actual overtakes this race.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of hurt to say, but I guess if I'm going to have to pick to watch this race again or last year's race again, I'm picking this race every time. Not just for the fact
that's the funny thing.
Piastri got P2. It just there was more to watch and observe.
And that'll probably be a pretty common thing to say this year, to be honest, as well, because although there's a lot of gimmicky things, like the first two races at times, they had absolute periods of nothing happening, but the racing has been pretty good. We said in China, the Ferraris put on a ding-dong battle, and it was, they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching it. So there's still, the racing, when it pairs up perfect, where the battery gets you in position to, as a driver, make an overtake, good stuff. We get some good racing.
Yeah, but you also want to see drivers being able to defend, right? You don't want to see them. You don't want to see him just watching a car go past and going, "There's literally nothing I can do about this."
Because he's 100 kilometers an hour quicker.
Yeah. Just real quick on that little clash between the last achievement and this achievement. Who was the last non-Red Bull or Mercedes driver to win the Japanese Grand Prix? Just a little quiz for you. Mid-achievement quiz.
Mercedes, as in the Mercedes we know today?
Mm-hmm. So Mercedes
Jenson Button, 2009.
Ooh, good guess.
Is it?
It's Jenson Button, 2011.
Okay. McLaren.
You were close.
I was close.
Yeah, wow. So after that, it was Vettel, then Hamilton, then Rosberg, then Hamilton, then Bottas, then Verstappen, then Verstappen.
Plus 3 years off for COVID in between all that.
Exactly. Okay, and...
That's good fun fact. I like it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that this afternoon. I thought, I'll see if I can,
Wiggle that in the shoehorn it.
Yeah. So what do we agree on, Suzuka? So the next achievement is the nerfed achievement. So your 3 nominees are the FIA reducing the battery energy from 9 megajoules to 8 megajoules. So literally having to nerf the battery deployment.
I mean, Formula 1 can say whatever they want at this point. I'll just say okay. Because I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I was going to say, what's a megajoule? Do you know? You're kind of an electrician.
The jump between 8 and 9 sounds like a lot.
Well,
that's like 12%.
Yeah.
I guess. So it sounds like a fair bit.
Yeah.
So
it's going to make a difference.
I expect Formula 1 to be talking more in like, we went from 9 to 8.8876. Like not just one whole megajoule. Whatever a megajoule is, dropping one whole amount of it.
If you know what a megajoule is, just comment below so we can learn.
Educate us.
Yeah. B is George Russell's championship bid. Taking a hit.
Yeah,
he's
I think it's his ego that's taking the bigger hit.
Well, that's a good point. So I can change that. George Russell's ego.
There's your winner.
It's been nerfed. And C, that shit-looking wolf pack shit Mercedes were repping all weekend.
Yeah.
That might have been one of the worst race suits I've ever seen in my life.
There's a combination of everything. The front wing didn't look good.
I almost thought for a second that Kimi intentionally lost pole because he's like, I can't win this race and be forever seen in this race suit in all these photos.
Yeah. So my problem is, you said it's a fashion brand thing.
I guess.
You're guessing.
So I'm
talking out of my ass here.
Well, you always do. So why stop now?
Well, I was going to say, if it was a Toto Wolff thing, it feels very dictatorship.
Well, I think it must have been like some sort of a collab.
Yeah. But to be like, I own this team. I own this clothing brand. We are putting this clothing brand on this team. Yeah. Every one of you motherfuckers are wearing my shirts.
Yeah.
And by the way, your driver's helmets, I own them.
Yeah.
We were putting a wolf on that thing too.
And they had the wolf on the front wing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, if that's the case, yuck.
Yeah. So, who do we want to give it to? So, battery reduction, George Russell's ego, or the wolf
George
pack?
Russell's ego. I think that's been pretty nerfed. I think he was riding an absolute high in Australia.
Yeah.
He thought this was going to be an absolute cakewalk.
Yeah.
Goes to China, wins the sprint too, mind you. So he's like, easy. Easy money. Pay me already.
Yeah.
They were already driven the G.
The F1 god stepped in.
Yeah. And then Kimi is just... and for minor infractions on George's behalf. A small issue in China, which didn't affect his car. It affected, if anything, just his run plan.
Yeah.
So a good driver would be able to outdrive that, such a small issue. And then he blamed the car in quali. I don't think we ever really got to the bottom of what happened.
Yep.
He just blamed the car. And then,
it's usually how it goes. So.
Safety cars that cost Oscar more than George, but he'll absolutely have an absolute whinge and moan about it.
Yeah. So congratulations to George Russell's ego for winning the nerfed achievement. The last achievement before we move on to the Easter egg is the AFK achievement. So I will give you the onboard cameras cutting away before 130R to hide the speed loss. 130R is the iconic sweeping left-hand corner.
Before the chicane,
Yep. If you're not up to date. B, qualifying pace, just in general, has been well and truly nerfed. Drivers aren't having to push the limits. They're kind of coasting up the corners and they can afford to make a lot of mistakes and still potentially set pole laps. Or C, Alonso missing practice due to the birth of his first child.
Is that a fact?
That is a fact. Yep.
How old is this bloke?
Aston 43, 44 or something? Yeah, I know.
Man, he's living life like he is.
Yeah, he's delaying everything.
That's crazy.
So they Aston Martin had their reserve driver doing the, I think, FP1 and FP2.
Yeah. Nice. I respect that he still raced. He's got a one-day old. And he's got a piece of shit to drive, but he's still
I don't know if you can call what they're doing racing right now.
That's true.
But
he circulated. I got to give it to
Japan to circulate.
Yeah. Got to give it to the onboard cameras because I noticed it. Like, I noticed watching qualifying. I was like, they're definitely not showing onboards exiting 130R or on the end of the main straight. Like they are. That seemed very intentional. Like I noticed it. It's not something I don't watch the onboards and
right where but it's super clipping.
Yeah, like I really definitely noticed a lack of super clipping on the coverage. And then the next day I saw that. You probably know better than me because you watch post stuff. They always show the qualifying onboard lap.
They do.
And I didn't watch, but I read that coming up to
cut away.
130R, they took it off board and finished the lap.
So usually they post it, no commentary, you just sit in the car the whole lap.
Yeah.
But yeah, they cut away for the end.
That is nasty work. That's pulling the wool over our eyes. That is dead set. Like, you don't see it.
It's funny too that they think that people are going to be dumb enough not to recognize that. Because like this has been a thing that they've done for years.
Yeah.
You know, and so now all of a sudden, like,
it's
not the thing.
Like, it's all good to try and hide it. Call me a casual if you will, because I don't watch stuff post. Hide it from the casuals. So when you're watching the race, and again, I said this to someone I was talking to. If we don't see it, then we actually don't know. From the outside of the car, you can't see him.
What you don't know can't hurt you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's if they didn't bang on about this situation for so much over these 3 races, and if from the start they went, maybe we'll just hide these onboards a little bit. Don't show them the downshifts entering the fast corners. Don't let them hear the engine note. If they just said that from the start, we'd have a third of the complaints.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
It's too late now, too little too late. But then to actually go to the length of, like you said, this thing they've been doing for a long time, post the onboard or at least show the onboard for the lap of its entirety, and to take it off board at the problematic areas, I mean, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, especially too because like there was one part in the race where Leclerc was putting a move on Hamilton and he got right up alongside him, and just as it was like in the past you would make that move to sweep around the outside, he lost power.
Yeah.
And then Hamilton
they both did.
Yeah. So then Hamilton just held position and he couldn't complete the overtake.
It sounds like
you hear the car go,
Yeah. You know what it sounds like? Drive to Survive, where they're matching the audio with the visuals, but they fuck it up.
Yeah.
So you're watching this, it looks like a great battle, but you're actually just hearing like they're slowing down, going up to satellites, trying to save fuel, and they're just rolling off.
I heard someone compare it to a piss stream. At the start, it's like high flow, but the longer it goes on, the weaker it gets.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
So yeah, we'll give it to the onboards because that's
a good one.
Yeah. Onboards for them trying to hide what's really going on.
Yeah, they're pulling the wool over
and
our
not
eyes.
working.
They can't fix the issue, so they're like, let's just hide the issue.
Okay, so the Easter egg achievement. So a stat or fact from the Suzuka Grand Prix.
Yep.
Now, do you have one?
I had to pull one out of my ass for sure. Yeah.
No, I'm not surprised.
Moments before the pod.
Usually how you do it.
Yeah. So
imagine how successful it would be if you started taking this seriously.
I took this seriously last year, and we didn't get where we wanted to be. And we had to fire Chris, and look at us now. We're just sitting in fucking lawn chairs. We had to sell. We had to sell the bougie chairs. We had to get rid of the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't afford production costs. So yeah, my effort went out the window. So, 85% of Suzuka Grand Prix winners have been from the front row, and only 6 qualifying positions have been won from.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Which I found quite interesting.
Yeah. Right.
P1, P2, P3, P5, P6, and P17. Thanks to Kimi Räikkönen.
P17.
Yeah.
Okay. No, would never have picked that one.
But, and again, I can't back this up with anything, but that's got to be the highest percentage of front row wins of any track. Which also just kind of shows this track's always been a bit of a problem with overtaking.
Or at least for a long time, yeah.
So 54.3 is win percentage from pole specifically.
Wow. Nasty business.
It just shows you need to be on the front row.
Well, yeah. Or
in Suzuka. Or have a fast enough car to come back and have a safety car help you.
Or P17.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't find this anywhere until quite late today, but Charles Leclerc now has equaled Kimi Räikkönen with 52 Ferrari podiums.
Nice.
I don't know.
Where's that rank him, do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't know. It feels like he's been in Ferrari longer than Räikkönen.
He has been.
Yeah. So, do you think that's more a case of him just not benefiting from a good Ferrari underneath him?
I mean, not only... that doesn't even make sense. So not only has he been in there longer, but he's also had more races per season. But that's, same. Yeah, I mean, he's, like I said it the week before, last week or something, every driver that has had 150 race starts with a single constructor has gone on to be world champion. Except for him. Except for him.
Things are looking grim
which
for him,
means he's had more race starts than Massa.
Yep.
Barrichello.
Yep.
Räikkönen. Vettel.
Yeah, wow.
And And yeah, he's done nothing.
At what point do you jump ship? It's one of those things of like,
Well, now his issues are timing. It's like you pick the same lotto numbers for 10 years and then you pivot. And then those numbers hit. That's his issue now. You just got to hold on to the best. At least you may retire as a 20-year Ferrari veteran.
You've been here too long now to jump ship.
Yeah.
And assuming Ferrari don't give him the flick for whatever reason, because Ferrari, they do dumb shit. So
they do dumb shit.
They might go, we need to change.
Yeah.
Charles is out.
Well, Ollie's coming up, and if Hamilton keeps going the way he is,
wouldn't that be something? Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that one. I think I feel sad.
I think
for
that's
Charles
the story of his
anything.
career.
Yeah.
Like you said, only just tying Raikkonen. I want to say Raikkonen 4-5 years in Ferrari, I reckon.
Oh, well, look, we could probably fact check that, but
and he won a world championship.
We need to wrap this podcast up at some point. So.
Yeah, he won a world championship that time and clearly averaged about 10 podiums a season.
Yeah.
So Charles, we said last night, he's knocking on 10 years in the sport. He spent a year in Sauber, so he's eight years. This might be his 9th year, his 8th year in Ferrari.
Yeah, and it's not like we know how difficult it is to adapt to a new car and a new team, especially late in your career when you're over the hill.
Yeah. So
to speak, in terms of F1 careers, that's not usually the path to a championship. So he's in a little bit of a tricky situation now, isn't he?
He literally just has to hold on and hope. And here's the heartbreaking thing will be, all right, I'm hanging up the gloves. Bang, Ferrari's back. That'll be the heartbreaking thing for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So that wraps up Suzuka. So 4 weeks off in between races, in between drinks.
Not 4 weeks off for us, though, unfortunately.
No, we will keep rolling on. We will find something to talk about, F1 related.
We can talk shit.
Yeah, we love it. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So, plus, I looked forward to having a 4-week break from you, and then you were like, "No, we should keep going," and I was like,
"It's good for the algorithm." We're fighting an uphill battle here.
As always, if you're still here with us, thank you so much for the support. Like, subscribe, follow, comment,
share.
We love chatting.
Share with your friends.
Yeah, or your mom or your dad, grandpa. We love chatting Formula One. So yeah, flick us a message, a question, comment. We'll do our best to answer it as
always respond
semi-professionally as possible. So other than that, we'll probably see you next week with something. I think we got a little treat. And,
next 4 week we got treats.
Little movie-based treat. But our next live stream won't be until
May
Miami.
5th, I think you said it was?
Yeah. May 5th. So we'll keep you up to date.
All right.
Thanks for the beers. I'll see you next week.
Yeah. All right.
GG's.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.